Everybody, what's up? Welcome to another webinar brought to you by Hatch Coaching. We are excited about this. This is like my favorite topic. This is all about hiring and hiring done right. I want to give you a lay of the land of what you can expect here in the next 30 to 45 minutes. We're not going to take all your time today. And some of you are watching live right now. Some of you are watching a replay of this on YouTube or something that we sent you directly. Either way, let's let this be interactive. So if we can help bring some value to you, please ask some questions, fire it out there in the chat or the Q&A portion, or you can, of course, comment on the YouTube page and we will answer everything that we can. With that being said, I want to help you understand why I get to be in this seat here, giving you the information overload that you didn't even know you're looking for. I'm the owner of Hatch Realty and Hatch Coaching. We're both based out of Fargo, North Dakota. Hatch Realty, we've been functioning as a real estate team. We're a brokerage, but we're primarily a team. We don't have any independent agents. We all function together. This year, it being 2020, we are going to close over 800 transactions this year. We also have maintained obscenely high retention rates over the last 24 months. In fact, I can say in the last 18 months, I think we've lost 4 or 5 people out of a team of over 40. And so with a 90% retention rate, I feel like we're doing okay, right? Like I always want better, but I know that this is a business that has hefty turnover in real estate, and we're avoiding a lot of that. And so for some of you, there are maybe some things that you can learn on how to add to your retention, as well as, of course, adding to your hiring. Hatch Coaching has existed now for the last 5 years, and our desire is to do right here what it says, to redefine how people treat people. And I think that that's really the crux of hiring. What it comes down to is this: yes, I've hired over 100 people in my history, and that's a blip on the map compared to some other large businesses. But in real estate, yeah, not a lot of us have hired a lot. But if you have hired a lot, you maybe have hired differently than we have. So we're going to talk about strategy. We're going to talk about form. We're going to talk about function. We're going to help you figure out what it is you're looking for. And that's question number 1. I'm not going to a slide deck today. This is all this beautiful face. So take breaks as you need. The first question you need to ask yourself, and if you're taking notes, please write this down, is what are you building? Because what you're building will determine what you're looking for. A lot of times we don't know what we're building. We get kermuffled on what we think should come and if the order was done differently or who we want. I'll give you an example. Is I've made the decision very early on that I wanted a team that was tight, cohesive, and massively producing. I have some friends in the industry. I have a buddy who will go unnamed right now, but he's building a really big, profitable, powerful organization totally differently than I am. Our group, again, we have, I think, currently 43 team members right now for Hatch Realty, and we'll sell over 800 homes this year. My buddy's going to sell over 1,200 homes, and he has about 110 people on his team. So you take all that and you're like, holy cow, that guy's going to be way more successful. But he's looking for something different. What he's looking for is an ecosystem that continues to have him be financially successful and give some people opportunities. His hiring process is nowhere near as diligent as ours is. And that's not right, wrong, or indifferent. He's just building something else. What we've committed to building is we want to be a team of Navy SEALs. We want the best of the best to exist. And in order to have Navy SEALs, you first have to have a Navy. But to have a Navy doesn't mean that you're going to take anybody who comes in and signs up. Yeah, I think that you have to get very, very specific on what you're looking for and have exceedingly high standards for who you're hiring. In our world, we try to get a potent punch, and we have this amazing retention, right, that I just alluded to. In fact, I haven't lost a producer in almost 2 years. I had somebody that retired. I had 2 ISAs that switched because ISAs are just hard to hang on to. And I think that's it. All I can think of are 3 people we've lost in almost the last 2 years. So with that kind of turnover, oh, we lost an admin too. There it is. I knew we had another. So we've had 4 people funnel out in almost the last 2 years, and that's a pretty great retention rate because what we're building is different. My buddy who has the 100+ agents, it's kind of a revolving door. It's good for him as the company owner because he's, again, built an ecosystem where he is massively profiting. But he's not going super deep with the relationships that he has, or people are, once they hit a certain point, pick up and leave and they say, this is no longer good for me. And is that the right model? Well, he makes more money than I do. Or is mine the right model? I don't make as much money as him, although I make a healthy living, but I don't have the headaches that maybe he has. So it's just a matter of which one you're looking for. So question number one is, what are you building? If you're going to hire right, you got to know what you're building. Number two, and I've been asked this question a lot, is, Erik, if you were to do it all over again, if you were to start over, how would you do it differently knowing now what you know? And here's what I would do. Here's my first 5 hires that I would make in a specific order. It's not no particular order. It's a very specific order. Number 1, you would hire an admin. This person, this admin, this leverage piece for you, I believe is some breathing room. This person takes things off your plate that are non-income producing for you. See, the most valuable resource you have is you. It will eventually turn, now in my world, my most valuable resources that I have are my team leaders, because we have like teams within teams, because it's progressed and they're now mini versions of me. They operate differently, they think differently, but they're building a team just like I am, and we're following this model. And so model number 1, step number 1 of the first hire is an admin. That takes things off your plate. I remember when I hired my first admin, her name was Mariah. Her name is actually still Mariah, go figure, but her name was Mariah back when I hired her in 2012. And she joined my team, and I gave her all the jobs of like building things that I couldn't get to. I had her fulfill my wish list. The problem was, number 1, she didn't have my vision, and I didn't take the time to train her on my vision. Number 2, she didn't take anything off my plate. She, in fact, added more things to my plate. So neither of those were income producing moves. So with that being said, this first admin hire, if you do it right and learn from my mistakes, is that you're hiring somebody to take things off your plate. You're transaction coordinating some of your client relations, the runner duties that you're doing, bringing your dry cleaning. Does anybody do dry cleaning? I just let it get really wrinkly. But they're tending to a lot of your personal care because they're trying to keep you in your sweet spot. And your sweet spot should be lead generating, lead converting, and working with clients. So first hire, admin. Second hire, admin. And here's why. I shared with you what I did with Mariah, right? Mariah, she tended to all these new things that I wanted to build, but I never gave myself breathing room. I do think there's a space and a place where the second admin hire is now helping you to build, to lean in deeper into your database, to work more on marketing and being somebody as a recognizable face in your community, because it is so much better to earn business than it is to buy business. Those of you that are on real estate teams right now, maybe you're not the rainmaker. I can tell you that usually these first 2 hires, they're already done for you. Or if you are a rainmaker, think of who your top agent is right now on the buy side. If that's the case and you're already providing them these first 2 admin pieces, the next hire is the same as what I would do if I were to build it all over again. And that is to hire a showing partner. I have what is, I think, my favorite webinar / YouTube video that I've done, and it said, don't hire a buyer agent. Go check it out on our Hatch Coaching YouTube page, because I think it's super valuable. But I think that the model is broken. I'm going to give you a very brief synopsis of why I think hiring a buyer agent is broken. Let's take a $10,000 commission. Now, on a 50-50 split, what we're saying is I can hire all these agents. I can bring all these people into my world, and it's going to be super valuable. I'm going to hire 5 agents. They're all going to sell all these houses from these leads that I can't get to, and I'm going to make all this extra money, and they're going to make some money too. Now, good idea in theory, and that's what most teams and coaches subscribe to, is that the solution to your problem is you hire somebody else. Let's say that person gets 5 quality at-bats. Maybe they're Zillow appointments, maybe they're well-nurtured pay-per-click leads, maybe it's a referral directly from you, but that buyer agent gets 5 quality at-bats, but they're the new kid on the block. The new kid on the block, even if you train them exceedingly well, and chances are you're not training them exceedingly well, even if you train them exceedingly well, they probably can't convert like you can. So let's say they get 3 out of those 5. Well, remember, I said each commission was $10,000. That means we're looking at $50,000 in commission. In your mind, you're thinking, I'm going to make 25 and they're going to make 25 and I'm going to be 25 ahead, right? That's how our minds tend to work as business people. But I want to show you the flaw in that thinking. They're not going to get all 5, they're going to get 3. And so on these 3, they're now getting, well, I don't know, $5,000 each, right? And if they're getting $5,000 each, they get 15 and you get 15. And you're like, I'm still 15,000 ahead. That makes great sense. What referrals are you losing from these people to your ecosystem? What about these? What about these at-bats and these referrals? See, you're thinking short-term gain instead of long-term grind. And I think the solution is to look at it differently. Because you may say, I still have $15,000, but how much do you have to pay for those leads, or how much could that have been? And let's take out a buyer agent completely and let's put in a showing partner. A showing partner in its simplest form is a salaried agent that is getting their MBA by working under the tutelage of that agent. You may be that agent, or it may be somebody on your team. But now we're taking 5 commissions. Let's say you're the team owner. You're taking 5 commissions, each $10,000. I can close 5 out of 5, right? Like, I've been doing this a while. My sword is sharp. I can close 5 out of 5. That means I'm looking at $50,000 in commission. That's a lot of cash. And what did it cost me here? Well, it's going to cost me the salary of a showing partner. Let's say that salary is $2,500 or $3,000 a month. Am I going to do 5 extra deals with a 40-hour-a-week salaried team member leveraging my business? Can I do 5 extra deals in 2 months? You're damn right I can. And so now that is a $5,000 or $6,000 total salary that you pay to keep this 50. So my net is $44,000 or $45,000. If you hire a buyer agent, your net is $15,000. Do I have your attention yet? Because the idea of hiring a buyer agent is irresponsible because they're untrained. You're throwing them to the wolves, hoping that they can bring back a killing, and rare can they. I have yet to see in our ecosystem, we've been doing this showing partner model now for 6 years. I have yet to see a showing partner not make it. They say 87% of realtors fail getting into the business. I am batting 100% success because we hire right, and then we put them into positions that are meant to have them win. Okay, there's a really big opportunity for you right now. And so remember, first hire admin, second hire admin, third hire showing partner. This is such a big transformation in thinking for people. The next hire is when I think you can start financially buying leads. I think this is all earned right here, but now you're moving to this 4th spot, and this 4th spot is bringing on an ISA or a database manager. This is a tough hire, but if you're going to be purchasing leads, you need to have all the right tools for them, and they need to be the right person to swing the hammer in the first place. This ISA or this lead converter, this database manager is helping to protect those investments and set great appointments for you. See, you may say, how am I going to have the time to do all this business? I'll say that when you hit 30 to 40 transactions, it depends on your price point and the location that you're serving. When you hit 30 to 40 transactions, you should be bringing on that first admin. And then I subscribe to a rule of 20 to 1. That rule of 20 to 1 looks like this. If your average sales price is $200,000 to $300,000 or so, I think that for every 20 transactions that you do is going to take 1 person on your team. So you say, well, when do I make the next hire? It depends on where you're at with the rule of 20 to 1. That means that now that you have 2 people, 40 to 50 transactions is healthy. But now if you want to get to 60 transactions, you're going to have to bring on that next admin. You want to get to 80 transactions, you're bringing on that showing partner. And if that math makes sense for you, there's now 4 people on your team. You're doing 80 transactions, and you as the rainmaker or the lead agent are doing all 80 transactions. And you may say, where am I going to get that kind of time? And it's a really easy solution. The admin are doing all the busy work for you, all of it. The showing partner is doing all the showings, a lot of the client care and relations. Your job is to lead generate, to convert deals, to negotiate, and to be client facing. And that's it. You can work 40 hours a week selling 80 houses a year. And yeah, you're paying let's say you're paying $100,000 in salaries between those three. With an average commission of $10,000, that's only 10 houses. That means that you have $700,000 in net GCI coming towards you. That's net. Yeah, you may be split with your brokerage. Maybe you have some other expenses, but you're not making 300. You're making 600 or 700. Because I have seen this model done so many times, and I'm proud to be a coach in this industry that's coaching a little bit differently than what other people are doing. The answer to your solution is not a whole bunch of people. The answer is the right people, the Navy SEALs, and that you're working smarter, not harder. You're building within yourself an ecosystem of trained people that when they do graduate, they will be massively successful. Because the fifth hire, remember, we go, I'll start over here. We go admin, showing partner, ISA. This fifth hire is another showing partner. Because my middle finger here, I'm not going to just point that one up, but my middle finger here, this showing partner now has graduated to be a buyer agent. They've earned the right to get more commission. They've been getting their MBA working under me in my tutelage, and they are unquestionably going to be successful. And so they've earned the chance to get $5,000 on every transaction. See, everything should be earned and nothing should be given. In most of our ecosystems, we just give, hoping that it'll create earned opportunities. And it just doesn't work that way. I'll say this as we talk about these numbers and they get big really quick. I know of maybe 30 or 40 real estate teams in the entire industry where the owner is making over $1 million a year. Maybe. Building a team, if you do it the wrong way, and most of us, myself included, have done it the wrong way when we started, are ego plays and not financial benefit plays. To build all this leverage around you, not to hire all these things out because you don't want to work with, how many of you are saying right now, I don't want to work with buyers? Like I've heard that crap over and over and over again. Well, then you come to me and you say you have money problems. The answer to your solution is you working smarter, not harder, and get yourself back into production, grind it out for a few years, make your crazy cash. And then you're going to have, as a byproduct of that, your partners and your admin so much better trained up that they can't help but be successful. Because instead you're throwing unschooled, untrained people to the masses, hoping that they're going to bring back money for you. And you're saying, why am I so broke right now? And the answer is because you got out of production too quickly. You didn't build enough leverage around yourself. And then your opportunity for this big growth is on the other side of you grinding it out. David Garcia, thanks for the question. Does the buyer agent pay for a portion of the showing partner? In our world, all my agents pay the entire salary of the showing partner. I have a really great video in our YouTube channel again that talks about showing partners. So just Google Hatch Coaching or YouTube Google Hatch Coaching Showing Partners, and you'll see how we do that. Because you can split it with a company, they can share it with somebody else, they can rent a partner, but the best solution that you will work towards, you don't necessarily start there, but the best solution that you work towards is that full financial responsibility for these showing partners is on the shoulders of that agent who's doing production. So in our world, I think we have 6 or 7 partners right now, and I don't pay a dime of those salaries. I pay to train them. I pay to give them office space. I pay to give them an ecosystem, but I'm not paying their salary, which is pretty good. All right. So those are the 5 hires that we encourage making. And I want to walk through now a 9-step hiring process. So we covered first, what is it that you want to build? Where do you want to go? Second is my 5-step hiring process. And third, and finally, I want to walk you through 9 steps for hiring that I think will prevent you from making so many mistakes that I've made over and over again. The first thing you need to do is you need to place your ad. Number 1, place your ad. And I know that sounds easy. If you want to get in front of the masses, you're going to have to go and put it on Craigslist, on LinkedIn, on Indeed, on Monster, on jobs.com, and everything else out there. And then you don't know what to write either. We found a really great resource as a company called WizeHire, WIZEHIRE. In fact, we're going to provide, for those of you watching, a link for you to save some cash with WizeHire if you haven't ever used them before. They essentially serve as like a CRM in a box for this. They will have job descriptions already created for you, which is super huge. They will help you write the ad. And then with your subscription, I think they're like $199 a month, super inexpensive. With your subscription to them, they're going to blast it out to all those aforementioned sites and even more so. And then they're going to collect resumes and cover letters, and they're going to have people take disc profiles, and it's like super, super valuable. So we love that about WiseHire. It is just, it is a no-brainer, and you can turn it on and turn it off whenever you're looking to hire. But that's a point that I need to bring up to you is, are you looking to hire? Because if you place an ad today is October 22nd, 2020, as I record this. If you place an ad today and you let it go for 3 weeks, the only people that you're targeting are those that are looking for a job today or for the next 3 weeks. And who's looking for a job today? Well, somebody who got fired, somebody who's unemployed. I know we have super high unemployment right now, so there is more meat and opportunity out there right now than there ever has been. However, those that are looking for a job are dissatisfied with their current job or currently unemployed. And those don't always make the great and best hires. And so the idea is I keep my WiseHire running all the time because we are consistently recruiting and pointing people that we hand select from our sphere, from people that we meet for them to apply. So consider that as an option with WiseHire. But number one of my 9-step hiring process is that you need to place a really great ad. Number two is you need to do your research on the candidates. I'll give you an example. In WiseHire, they quite often will have people that don't fill out everything. See, WiseHire is smart, and they put a couple of roadblocks and barriers in there for people of boxes that they have to check. And then they get an email that's sent back to them where they have to complete their DISC profile. And a lot of people don't do that. We immediately eliminate those people that don't do that. Now, we send them a few reminder emails because sometimes it goes to their junk mail, and we want to make sure that we're getting it in front of them because we want to give a little bit of grace when we first start. But if they don't check all the boxes, we eliminate them. When I hired my personal assistant 3 years ago, I placed an ad with WiseHire, and I had 307 applicants to be my personal assistant. Holy cow. How do you ever figure out who to hire on that? I let the job run for 3 weeks, and that's a recommendation I have for you, is to let the job run no longer than 3 weeks because you want to be very specific with what you're doing. And geez, 307 applicants. Well, we eliminated 130 because they didn't fill out everything the way they were supposed to. And by the way, we live in a complicated country, and I know to get unemployment benefits, you have to apply for X number of jobs a month or a week. And we wanted to eliminate those people, and we did right away. And then we do some research on these people. What we do is we go to social media, we see what we can find out. We, of course, have to understand, and I need to say this as a disclaimer, is that there are a lot of protected classes, and the decisions that you make when creeping on somebody on their social media cannot impact any of those protected classes that we have. And so you're going simply to see, is this person a culture fit? In fact, that's the research here. And I want to tell you that I give 3 categories to why we would hire somebody. It's a little different. Like, we're hiring a videographer this week, our first videographer, and skill matters in videography. I think for hiring for an agent, I don't think that skill matters that much. And hiring for an admin, I mean, skill matters some, but I'd much rather have somebody be the right culture fit. And so 50% of who we consider and why we consider them is a culture piece, which is something you can't read about on a resume and you can't necessarily learn about from a cover letter. Go deeper, do more intense steps. With all that being said, 50% is our culture decision. 25% of our decision roughly is, are they the right disc? And that's what we're doing in this research time as well. For an admin, we think that they should be an SC or a CS. Yes, they could have some I or some D in there, but frankly, they should be leading with their S or their C. For an agent in production that works with buyers, they probably need to have I, and then that I is going to be accompanied by D or S. A showing partner, a lot of times if they're going to stay in the role, will have a higher S, but they'll be an IS or an SI. If you don't know a lot about the disc, we do have a video in our YouTube page. Notice the theme, I keep pointing you there. We have a video on our YouTube page about the disc profile as well, which is super valuable. I did a webinar with Jade Niblick, owner of WiseHire, and he's like the proprietor of the disc. He knows it more than anybody in the entire country. So really great value there. For an ISA, the kind of DISC score that we look for is we look for somebody to be a DC or a CD. Now, an ISA doesn't need to be super social because they're on the phone and they're sending a lot of text throughout the day, and they can't have call reluctance, which sometimes happens when you have a high S. For people to be listing agents, we want them to be a DI or a DC. And then I want to take all of that and I want to throw it out the window, because I maybe just misled you if you're like taking vigorous notes and you're like, I have to hire somebody in the showing partner position that's an SI or an IS. No, you don't. This is 25% of it. That's it. The DISC score, we give weight of 25%. And when we're looking on somebody's resume and their DISC score to say, can they continue with this hiring process? Because the hiring process starts as a wide funnel, and our job is we go tighter, lower and lower as we go. We eliminate people at every step. If my personal assistant applied and she was, a 70D and a 40I and whatever it may be, that's fine. I don't care. All I'm looking for is somebody that's absolutely not a fit, because if my personal assistant is a 99D, that's not working. I can't, my D is 99 as well, but I can't have somebody where it's two bulls. I need somebody who's more of an order taker than an order maker. And that's all I'm looking for when I look at the DISC, is I'm making sure that the person doesn't have the absolute wrong profile. Somebody who has a 99I does not mean that they're going to be a great salesperson. Anything but. And so stop putting so much weight into the damn DISC, because you are harming your hiring process. So now the final 25% that we use, remember 50% was culture, 25% is DISC. The other 25% is hunger. I love people with a chip on their shoulder. Somebody who had a tough upbringing, or somebody who has something to prove, somebody who has a lot of debt in their life, and they are tenacious and they are hungry. You can't teach hungry. And those of you with teams know the difference between somebody who's hungry and somebody who's just showing up and going through it because they like houses. Liking houses is about the worst attribute of a great realtor. Houses are just the vehicle. We need people that are hungry for their life, not for the house that they're working on. So that's step number 2. Number 1 is you place the ad. I recommend placing it on Wise Hire. Number 2 is you are researching these people. Number 3, this is the difference maker. If you're to write anything down, this is the big one. We do a career night. This career night is in person. Right now, you're probably saying, Eric, it's COVID time. We can't do this in person. You just maybe have to do more meetings and spread out a little bit more. So think through the logistics on that. But these career nights are imperatively important because you're seeing the whites of the eye. Let's go back to my personal assistant. We ended up we had 307 apply. We narrowed down to about 170 by simply eliminating people. Then we took out about another 70 or 80 people that we didn't think were the right fit. So now we're down to 90 or so candidates. We invited all 90 to the career night. And we knew that we weren't going to have 90 people show up. We had about 35 people RSVP yes, and about 27 or 28 actually show up. See, this career night is again weeding out those people that are just applying for jobs and looking for the low-hanging fruit, whether they're unemployed or if they're currently just throwing feelers out there to see if something's great. I want somebody who's going to go above and beyond. And we start that in this hiring process by doing this career night. Now, it's not mandatory. Sometimes people have jobs or kids and they can't come for the career night, but we think it's a really, really important step, and that they have to over communicate why they can't be there. So now you may have 35 that RSVP yes, you will never have 35 that actually show up. If you have 8 that RSVP yes, you may have 8 that show up, but usually there is some attrition there and some won't actually come because they'll flake out or they'll say yes because they think that's what you want them to say. So now you're in this career night, you're seeing the whites of the eyes of people. If you need to socially distance more, you're going to have to do a career night at 6 and one at 7:30 or whatever it may be so that you can see enough people. But I tell you that at my career night for my personal assistant, when those 35 people walked into the room, I had it narrowed down to 6 or 7 like that. Because energy matters, because attentiveness matters, because personality matters, because it all is actually able to be figured out when you're not staring at a piece of paper trying to interpret that person. And now you're connecting with them to say, can I vibe with this person? How much time did I save myself by doing a career night? And in that career night, my job is to scare the bejesus out of them. Talk about how tough the job is, talk about how difficult it is, talk about the painful sides. Because if you walk in and you say, let's say you're meeting with realtors and you're like, you know what, you're going to make six figures your first year and you're going to make a ton of cash and this job is pretty easy and you know, I'll give you 10 appointments a month and all this. Like what you're doing is you're setting them up for failure, because you're trying to paint a beautiful picture to recruit them and to have them drawn in. And I found that the best recruitment is to tell people, I don't think you can do this. I don't think you can make it. This is going to be exceedingly difficult. Through college, I was a waiter at a Mexican restaurant. It was called Paradiso. And every time I would go to a table, I would lie. And here's what I would tell them. Like, hey, gang, I'm Erik, excited to take care of you. Listen, I just got triple sat, or our kitchen's backed up, or I got slammed, or I'm running really behind. So my job, my goal is to give you the best possible service I can. But if I can't, like, throw a chip at me, let me know. Like, I'm going to do everything I can to be here, but I'm a little backed up right now. And what I did is I lowered their expectation and I had them say, okay, I'm not going to be frustrated if I don't see Erik when my soda is empty, right? Or if I need another margarita, I'm not going to lose my mind. He's already told me that this is going to be a tougher situation. And then what I would do every time is I would always over deliver. See, the number one thing that leads to frustration is the root cause of unmet expectations. And if we're telling our team members that it is going to be the easiest job where they're going to make a ton of money, or telling these potential new hires, and it's anything but, we're setting them up for huge failure. Now, if you tell them how difficult the job is going to be, don't you think that the right people will say, screw that, I can prove this guy wrong, I can do this job? If we tell them that, and then they know that I said it's going to be here, and it's always going to be here. And if it can be here, turns out magically they are happier with the job and we found the right people. So with this being said, let's continue with number 3, and I'm going to start moving very quickly from here. David, yes, this is being recorded, so you'll get a recording afterwards. You have to leave, but adios, mi amor. Good to be with you, buddy. Here's the final part I want to cover about career night. Is you scare the bejesus out of them, and then you give your team members should be there feeling it out as well. You give them a chance to have conversations after the presentation. See, I'll present for 45 minutes or an hour, and you don't need to do that because I talk a lot more than most people do. But I talk about our company, I talk about how we function and who they would need to be through all this. And then we allow our team members to get face-to-face with them, to talk, to connect, so that they can judge these people as soon as they leave. We'll talk about them and say, who do we like, who didn't we like? And we eliminate the group down very, very quickly. So that's step number 3. Step number 4 is we send out essay questions immediately after our career night. We send out essay questions and we tell them that we don't want 1 or 2 sentence answers. And instead, what we're looking for is we're looking for people to really help us start to see them. We talk about how we value vulnerability and transparency and how all those things matter. And so they're now opening up, they're giving us more of their heart. And some people, by simply having another step in there, they won't do it. They came to the career night, maybe we scared them and they didn't want to do it. Like, thank goodness I'm eliminating that person right now instead of just forging forward with the interview. So maybe we started with 307. By the time we're sending out essay questions and those that will move on from essay questions, by the way, if you attend the career night, you get the essay questions. Those are simultaneously connected. Then we're narrowing down from what was maybe 35 people that actually came to 5. Maybe 4 or 3. Like we're trimming it down, and don't expect 307 people to apply for every job. By the way, it's just not going to happen. But when you're intentional on being involved in your community and you're recruiting all the time, this stuff comes to you. So with that being said, now you've reviewed the essay questions and you've cut it down to 5, 4, 3, 2 people, whatever it may be. Now you're going to step number 5. Step number 5 is a 30-minute in-person or phone interview. You get to choose. Now, I'm not a part of this. I'm fortunate to have a large team. My office manager, who also serves as our HR director, does these 30-minute interviews. And this is not like, tell me a time in which you were managed well and what are your greatest strengths and weaknesses. And instead, we're finding out more about their personality. And we're taking what was that face-to-face time for 5 minutes at the end of our career night, and we're just going longer with that. We're giving 30 minutes to try to feel, does this person really have the tenacity? Do they have the culture fit? Because I'm not looking for somebody who's the best salesperson. I'm looking for the person that's the best fit. Moneyball and the Oakland A's, actually, it's a great movie, really articulate this strategy that we do. Is you don't want a bunch of New York Yankees where it's just the highest paid, highest priced people that all look like they're all-stars, because a bunch of all-stars together doesn't mean you're going to have a great team. Take that, Yankee fans. All right. Step number 6 is reference checks. And I stole this from Keller Williams. Keller Williams Career Visioning has really great advice on how to do reference checks. They say you get 3 references. You're asking 15 or 20 minutes worth of questions to these 3 people. But then you're asking each of these 3 references. And I promise you, if you're interviewing Tony and Tony gives you 3 references, this is his best friend, this is his aunt, and this is the guy that sat next to him at his desk but was never managing him. Like, they're not going to give you the people that maybe know the full story. And so you ask each of these 3 people, hey, who was somebody else that knew Tony in your world that I can talk to? And the goal is to have them give you 3 references. And then you're taking those 3 references, asking the same questions. And then you're saying, hey, who's somebody else that would know Tony that I could talk to? And you're trying to get 3 more references, in total of 9 references. Whew. Most of you will not do this. And then you're going to wonder, well, how come I didn't learn this about this person? Because your goal is to learn how to manage them, learn how to lead them, and find all their blind spots. The people that have worked with them should be the best insights that you have. But most of the time, you just want to move so fast and you breeze past it. And then you wonder why you have a train wreck in your environment. And it's because you went too dang fast. These reference checks matter a lot. And that's step number 6. If they move to step number 7, now we may be eliminated and we're down to 2 people or even 1 person. What we do now is we do a 3-hour interview. A 3-hour interview is very, very lengthy. And you may say, how in the world do you do a 3-hour interview? Like, go as long as you can, but we break it up into 2 halves. The first half is all about that person. It's their life story. So I would say to you, Greg, man, I've learned a lot about you so far. Thanks for being a part of this process, but I want to start learning your life story. I want to know the high highs and the low lows. Now is not a time for meekness. Now is a time for you to fully open up and share with me what's been good and what's been bad with your life. And I'm going to ask you a ton of questions. And so Greg is going to come on board and he's going to say, well, I was born and raised in Maryland. I'm like, awesome. What was that like? Because the questions I can't ask are, tell me about your family. Tell me about your wife. Like, I can't ask those kind of questions to people. But what I can say is, like, who's really important in your world and why is that? Why does that matter? And you can get a lot of great questions answered with that. And so he's going to tell me about his family growing up and the things that he did, the kind of kid he was in school, the relationship he had with his parents, the relationship he had with his siblings. How did he get along in school? Was he a good student? Was he a bad? Like, you're asking a ton of questions, and this takes, in my world, an hour and a half. What usually happens in this time is we are pulling back so many layers of the onion that our job is to get them off of a practiced, rehearsed answer. See, most of us, when we talk about things, it is a practiced and rehearsed kind of regurgitation of things that we've said 100 times because it's the easiest way to communicate it. And my job in peeling back the onion in an interview is to find out at the core who they are, how they think, and how they operate. See, with all that being said, where we want to get with this is we want to get to a place where they no longer are prepared. It's commonplace for them to meet that with some emotion, some tears, some sadness, some frustration. And what we look for here is we look for people to be willing to be authentic and vulnerable. We think that matters a lot in our world. And then we also want people to not be victims. I mean, if I say that right now, don't you know the victim or victims that you work with right now? And it's like, oh, that person makes me crazy. And if you're going to keep crazy out of your world, it's not going to come from after you hire somebody for 30 minutes and hope that they're going to be really good. In a life story, getting them off of a rehearsed answer and seeing if they show up as a victim or if they show up as a victor is a huge difference maker. So that's the first half of the 3-hour interview on step number 7. The second half of the 3-hour interview on step number 7 is now about the job. It took us till step number 7, the second half of a 3-hour interview, to actually start talking about the job. the skills that they have, the things that they bring, the ways that they want to be managed well, the strengths that they bring to the table. That's how far down of the priority that we push this. And so now we're asking more about job specific things and making sure that this would be the right fit for them. And they're asking a lot of questions to us also. Step number 8 is a department interview. If you've gotten this far, I now encourage you to go out to beers or lunch or coffee, whatever it may be, with this person out of the office. And if you're hiring an agent, some other agents that are going to be working with that person should be coming along. And maybe the transaction coordinator or the listing coordinator that's going to be working directly with that person should come along also. And they're not there to judge if this person is a qualified candidate. You just spent 7 steps doing that. What they are there to judge is to say, do I trust this person enough to work alongside them and to work for them and to cheer them on and to wish their success? And will they do the same for me? See, it's about character. It's about culture. It's not about job skill. Step number 9 is you offer them the job. It's a lengthy process. And we spend an inordinate amount of time on that in our realty world. Honestly, my office manager, probably half of her job is HR and doing this constantly, going through all these steps with people and learning about them. We're going to sell over 800 homes this year. And we have unbelievable retention. And the agents in my world that we're building teams with now and teams for, some of those little mini teams within our team, they're going to sell 200 homes. I have 3 agents that'll each make north of $350,000 this year. That's their net, not their gross. I get to create these really big worlds and have these huge opportunities for people. And I don't have to press the restart button all the time because we take hiring really seriously. So you need to have a vision about who you're going to hire. You need to have, of course, the right people to hire, and then you need to follow the right hiring steps. And that's the value I intended on bringing today. I do want to give you a couple of final thoughts. We're getting towards wrapping here. So if you have some questions, put them in the chat box so I can jump on those. If you are watching live, if you're watching the replay of it, just shoot us a message and we'll happily respond as best we can. The first is we're going to send you a WiseHire link. You can save some cash with WiseHire if you sign up for that. And in addition to that, you can also get a lot of our job descriptions that we have customized and written for all of our different positions. So big opportunity there. Step number 2 is we're going to send you, we've created all of this that I just covered so quickly. I have a hiring package. The questions to ask in interviews, the forms for people to fill out, all the things. It's a step-by-step, no-brainer thing. It's just $99. We're going to send you a link to that if you want to take a look at it in our marketplace. And then we're even going to give you a discount code for our entire marketplace so you can save some cash. We have some really great resources and other things that people tend to use to really enhance their business. Then finally, I want you to make sure that you subscribe to our YouTube channel, which is Hatch Coaching, easy to find as we put new content in there every single week. So if you're looking to continue to sharpen your sword and rise the tide in your world, that's the way in which you do so. And I don't see any questions. Holy cow. Guess we knocked it out of the park today. Feels real good. It's good to be with you all. God bless you. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll catch you next time. Again, Erik Hatch with Hatch Realty and Hatch Coaching. God bless you.